Good morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting reader comment over at James Freeman's Best of the Web column at the Wall Street Journal. Reader who believes that Joe Biden won the 2020 election wrote this to Freeman. The left needs to accept the fact that too many of the things they told us could not possibly be true turned out to be true, right up to calling him a liar for saying there would be a vaccine. And now they expect normal people who don't follow politics 24/7 to simply believe them that everything is on the up and up, just like the FISA investigation. Everyday people are expected to be able to understand that, even though they see a bag of votes discovered here and an irregularity there, that these are isolated incidents and don't define the entire system. And journalists look down on these people and their cognitive biases, and then these same journalists see a George Floyd video and are ready to dismantle police departments.
Or a Jacob Blake video.
That's a letter from someone who believes Joe Biden won the 2020 election, trying to explain and provide some consideration for those who are raising legitimate questions right up until the very end, and perhaps even suggesting things that would be inappropriate right up until the very end, including the president suggesting that Mike Pence can do things that Mike Pence cannot do constitutionally in this process. But there is a variety of opinion on that topic. Mm-hmm. And for more on it, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Ken Blackwell. He is a former Ohio Secretary of State, former mayor of Cincinnati as well, and he is a board member of the Trump-Pence campaign. Ken, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Amy, Dan, good to be with you all.
Pleasure to have you. And what is it that you hope comes to pass today? What is the point of today from your perspective representing the campaign?
Well, you look, I woke up this morning to a quote from Churchill. I don't know what drove me to the quote, but I think it's most appropriate. Churchill said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." What I want to do is to make sure that your listeners and the broader audience in this country understand that while Democrats cry outrage over Republicans' challenges to the November 3rd, 2020 election, they seem to have forgotten their party's actions over the past 2 decades. In the years 2001, 2005, and 2017, Democrats challenged the electoral votes and slates following presidential elections in 2000, 2004, 2016. And so despite Democrats and anti-Trumpers alike chastising the president and Republicans who believe that irregularities and constitutional actions took place in that election, they must remember that they, in fact, did the same thing in those years I just mentioned. And I happened to be at the eye of the storm in 2004 and 5 when Stephanie Tubbs Jones and other members challenged the slate of electors from Ohio on the floor at the joint meeting in 2005 on the base. And look, the spread in Ohio that year between Kerry and Bush won Ohio by 118,000 votes. So this notion that somehow this is anti-democratic, unconstitutional, is just a farce. And so my hope is that the senators are led by Senator Cruz and the House members led by Jim Jordan and others can actually put a little light on the irregularities and illegalities that took place and that affected the integrity of the election. And the reason that's let me just say the reason that's important is because in 2005, when the Democrats did it, it put in motion George Soros' SOS project, where they went out and elected liberal secretaries of state and attorney generals, and their long game strategy played out in 2020. We see that.
And and Brian, and now down to the state's attorney and district attorney level. To your point, that is a good point to raise about the Soros program. But so the objections is one thing. What President Trump asserted about Vice President Pence's powers here is another. He said, and I'm quoting, "Our vice president has several options under the United States Constitution. He can decertify the results or send them back to the states for change and certification." But that's not true, right?
Well, look, Dan, let me just say, that would have more staying power if, in fact, official action was taken by state legislatures.
Right.
Right now they have a letter from 140 plus state legislators from affected states, but they don't have official action. If the president, vice president, who actually officiates the meeting, had that in front of him, he could officiate. And that would be challenged, perhaps by Democrats, but the proof would be on them to say that the vice president's role is just purely ceremonial, and that he can't make any judgments when he has official actions presented to him from legislatures. But he doesn't have that. And so you're right. He can't just make up things out of whole cloth. He has to have that. And then I say that he's on good footing to put the pressure on Democrats to challenge. Look, this is not purely ceremonial. If in fact, Biden and Harris are seated and she is officiating at a 50-50 split, her vote counts. It's not ceremonial. This is real stuff. And the framers of our Constitution saw that while this might not happen every other year, in situations where there is a contest and contested results, this is a way to make sure that the representatives of the people, not some bureaucrats, make the final decision on certification.
So they want an electoral commission, but they're going to need 60 votes from the Senate in order to make that happen. Are the votes there?
I think the votes. Your question right now, the votes are probably not there. If I look at those folks who count noses for Senator McConnell, the votes are not there. We know they're not there in the House. So the issue becomes, how do we frame this to bring as much sunlight to this process as possible? This is going to be extended because this is not just one member of the House and one member of the Senate. This is a substantial number of folks who will raise objections and make the case. And the case won't just be for Donald Trump. The case will be made for the integrity of our electoral system, and that is so important to the nature of our republic.
Do you believe that the apparent outcome of the Georgia Senate races will have any impact on what happens today?
Look, I think at the end, this is in 2001 they had a 50-50 split. And there was a lot of rearranging of the chairs and a lot of negotiations for how they governed. The fact is that if it remains, or if it turns out that Republicans lost both seats and it's a 50-50 split, Joe Manchin probably becomes the most powerful senator in the country. Mm-hmm. And secondly, it's going to take a lot of back and forth between the Schumer and McConnell to decide how they govern. But in the final analysis, if it gets to a vote and there's a 50-50 split, Harris would break the tie. And so the answer to your question is that the Democrats are in a stronger position today than they were would have been if, in fact, we split those seats in Georgia or had won both of them.
He is Ken Blackwell, former Ohio Secretary of State and mayor of Cincinnati, now also a member of the Trump-Pence campaign board representing the campaign. Ken, thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate it.
God bless you.
Thanks. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Charles Osgood. We all know, because we've been told over and over, how important it is to eat a balanced diet and that the nutrients in fresh fruits and veggies are essential to good health. Fine. But for me, knowing that and eating as if I knew it are two different things. I'm a meat and potatoes guy and always have been. So I was thrilled to find out that Balance of Nature capsules concentrate 31 different fruits and vegetables with no extracts or fillers and with all those phytonutrients we need to be in top form. Balance of Nature. It's well named. To touch all the bases, what I do is to take a few of the fruit and berry capsules, the red ones in the morning, and the green veggie capsules later in the day. My body and brain never had it so good. With nutrition well balanced as nature intended, no wonder that these days I'm feeling so splendid.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
So good to hear from Charles Osgood. Hey, My Pillow, slept on one last night. I love it. I have the Giza cotton sheets, the My Pillow towels, and this mattress topper, which is fantastic. Made in America, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee, an exclusive 3-layer design foam to help relieve pressure points, and the patented temperature-regulating cover that's washable and dryable. Don't miss out, because if you order it today,